I just see that I'm wearing these rainbow kind of feathers, and I saw like a step pyramid before, and some, like a South American art style.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is I feel this is something to do with South America and the cultures there a very long time ago.
Does it seem like you have a physical body?
Yes, well it's another one of the times when Lumina was there,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just here in South America with the others. So they traveled to South America as well at this time. And Toth is actually here in South America. And I can see his face more clearly now. And he's got long hair,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a kind of darker color. And he wears like, I'm gonna say like a robe or a dress or something. I'm gonna say that. And like at this time he has a little bit of, you know, he has a little bit of facial hair, just a little bit of stubble. He's very handsome, and and it's quite humid here, and I'm not wearing a top, but I'm wearing a sort of skirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so Lumina went here as well.
What was she doing there?
We were doing the grid work. We were doing the corresponding. It's like Toth went here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like certain structures were placed at the time,
What kind of structures?
like the pyramid structures, like what we know the pyramids to be today. It's like they had to be placed at certain places at this time because there was just like I guess like a threat to the Earth grid
Mm-hmm.
structure. So it was like they had to be the Earth grid had to be pinned down in a sense after cataclysms to stop it from, like, I'm just seeing it just like moving like chaotically like jelly if these structures weren't placed here to pin it down.
When you say pin it down, what do you mean? Like, can you elaborate on that?
Well, it's a strange sort of image. It's like, it's like after the cataclysms happened with Atlantis and whatnot,
Mm.
it was like all wibbly wobbly like jelly, and to place these things in these places, I guess before things really went south, it was like it's just like it stabilizes it,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Like it stops it from going too haywire.
Okay. And how did they build these pyramids?
I'm seeing Toth, he built the one in Egypt with the help of people. He was the architect for this. And they're moving the blocks with these prongs, and their mind like a tuning fork type of looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they just like some people that direct the energy of this. And and they pull these blocks up and then place them using this technique of their psychic skills with this amplifier.
So is
I'm
it like
seeing
music? Like when you say tuning forks, is that like the ones that we hear today?
there's like a big sort of fork.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing they get out like a big fork and sort of they wave it around, and then there's these big blocks and they're like placing them. And it's like they use the fork and their abilities to, it's like their ability travels through the fork in a sense. It's like an amplifier for this type of skill that they're already skilled in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people knew how to do this at the time. They knew how to do this. They weren't like, well, the Atlantis people anyway, it was like they weren't dumbed down yet.
So this was before Atlantis went down.
Yeah, they just did it. It was like they did it in preparation for that event, if that makes sense. Like when Thoth set up in Egypt, I'm seeing he goes over to set up with, the other Elohim and beings. And they set up there and it's like they know that like this is sort of thing is coming. So this was like preparations, I guess.
Preparations for what's to come.
Yeah, for Atlantis sinking. So it was kind of like the very, very first pyramids were created towards the end of, when Atlantis was just about to collapse. So it was not after, but just before this time I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. And whereabouts in South America were they creating this one?
So, the Mayan structures and whatnot,
Yeah.
and some of the Aztec as well, the Mayans and Aztecs in particular. So I'm seeing that, the ones in the jungle and then the ones further up in the Aztec. It's like they went all over. They went all over.
How many pyramids did they build in total?
Oh, it was quite a few. I'm just trying to gauge like how many. It was more than 100 by the time we finished. There was ones in Australia too.
Mhm.
They were like all structures. I wouldn't say that they were all necessarily pyramid type of things, but structures, because there's one in Indonesia that comes to mind. It's like that hill of light place, that giant hill that with all of these stacked stones on there. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Indonesia. No, I'm not.
Mm.
Don't recall.
It is. It was there for a very sort of long time. That
Mhm.
was like one of the original ones that we had involvement in.
Okay.
So it was in all of these different sorts of places I'm seeing.
And were they all created differently? Different material or?
Yes, there was different materials just depending on what was available, like the natural materials around the area. Like the Indonesian one was created using this volcanic sort of stone, and the other ones were created using other things, that other different parts of stone or compacted sands that was used.
So could they communicate with each other, the pyramids? What was the point of having them in different places?
It
Is
was
it
like,
on the
yeah,
grid?
the earth grid. It was
Yeah.
the earth grid stabilization, and
Hmm.
they do link with each other, these structures. It's like they do like form sort of lines with each other, if you know what I mean. It's like they do link up with each other. It forms like a grid pattern around the earth.
Hmm.
And some places that I'm seeing, some places that appear to be hills, they're actually pyramids in the past. Like the one in Indonesia was thought to just be a big hill, and then it turned out to be a structure.
Hmm.
There's a lot of this sort of thing.
Is there anything else that you want us to know about that?
It was just that, like, well, the so-called gods in this place and the Mayan ones,
Hmm.
like I'm seeing that they were the same. They were the same. Like Apollo was there and Thoth was there and I was there and some others were there, and they called us different names.
So when they were doing sacrifices, were they doing the sacrifices so they could get help, or is that when you guys left? Or
I'm seeing that, yeah, it was after, long after we left. And there was some darker beings that were pretending to be us that told them to do this.
okay.
And they were feeding off of that type of energy. And this tends to happen a lot.
Is that why they wanted young kids?
Yeah. Yeah. These type of beings, they feed off of this type of energy.
Hmm.
It's like the concept of loosh.
What's the concept of loosh?
It's like that energy that comes out that's very fearful, like when the person is about to be sacrificed, and then they feed off of this type of energy.
In what way?
It's like they don't have enough light within themselves, so they have to grab it from people. They need to grab sort of energy from people, and this is just one of the ways that they did it.
So the same dark energies were doing the same thing around the world.
Yeah, I'm seeing that they pretended to be Yahweh, and they told people to circumcise their children.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, of course, just to traumatize the children. This isn't necessary at all. Like, light beings don't ask for like children's penises to be mutilated. That
Mm.
is just, it's just wrong. They don't do that.
What was the whole idea behind the circumcisions on the penises?
It's like a polar actually told me it's to traumatize the boys.
Mm-hmm.
To traumatize the boys when they come out and they're babies. And that's like, it's like it does split their personality a bit. It's like, yeah, it's a mechanism of trauma
Mm-hmm.
so that these beings can have an easier time to attack or feast on the individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessary at all.
Yeah. So they pretended to be Yahweh, and then that's how this custom came about.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he wouldn't tell people to do that. It doesn't make sense.
No.
You just think about it. It doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. So was this the last time? How many times have you visited Earth before the last time?
I'm just gonna have to get the conscious mind to recede a little bit more.
Yeah, we're going to ask the conscious mind to recede a little bit more so we can continue on.
And just allowing myself some adjustment
Mm-hmm.
to the body, mind, the spirit complex. Okay, you can continue with your questions now.
Okay, thank you. Welcome back. Um, so we just want to know about the times you visited Earth before the last time.
Okay, so we have been involved with since the beginning times of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So since a very, very, very long time ago in your terms before the Earth was even inhabited by what you would call even early types of life. So it's been a very, very long time
Mm-hmm.
that we have had involvement with the planets here. We can be in many, many places at the one time. So it's easy for us to do visits in various places in the universe just to check up on things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing we are doing checkups to just see how things are going, and there are other beings that are terraforming the planet, and many groups of beings that worked to make the earth as it is today. So it was not just us, but we were doing checkups on their progress, if that makes sense. So I'm viewing we are going around, and we land, and we come out, and we have a look at what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some what you would call very early life forms, like there was like little pools around the earth, little pools of water, and creatures in these pools.
Mm-hmm.
And we are just looking at these creatures and how they are going, and they don't really notice us very much. They are very like lower life forms, like some little slug type of things, and things that look very they don't have any eyes. They are just little wriggly things in these pools of water.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some strange plants with bobbly beads, and we change the sun to red color, like a red light ray, to facilitate their evolution. So we programmed the sun's light, and it sent out the red ray, and this begin to do some things, and this was at a later stage. So it appears that we came at the stage where there was some funny type of creatures in the water that didn't have eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a little bit like coral or seaweed type of things. Like, how would I describe these? It looks like a plant, but it's an animal. It's an animal being, and very slow type of things. Oh, and now I'm seeing some things with the shells, the big nautilus type of shell, and this one, and I'm seeing some things, and they do have eyes now,
Mm-hmm.
and there is like some fish in these pools too. I believe this was later on. There was some fish, and then the red light was just, it was to program the creatures to begin to walk out of these little pools of water.
Mm-hmm.
And the earth was filled with all of these pools of water and creatures in these little pools. And there was many of these type of thing everywhere. Like, it's like the earth was filled with strange plants and various type of pools of water with some strange things in there. some strange creatures, and they don't. Some of them are very strange. There's one that looks like a centipede, and it's wriggling about, and it doesn't have any eyes. And there's many different type of creatures that are very strange and alien looking. And then there's ones that look more familiar, like fish type of things and slug type of things, and like trilobites and things with shells. There is one with pointy shell and little tentacles, and he is wriggling about and just seeing these things. We are looking in these pools and just watching and looking, see how they're going. And then we change the light program to red light, because these pools were going to dry up soon. Well, maybe a long time in Earth terms, but soon in our terms. So we have to do this to make sure that they would survive. So the red light in the sun is telling the instructions for them. Okay, it's time to grow the legs and move out. So all of the hard work creating life on this earth doesn't go to waste, you know, and they crawl out. And some of them don't crawl out, some of them go extinct, but the ones that respond to the instructions, they go out of the pools and they start to make the legs. They start to make the legs and become lizardy things.
And was this so to check whether there could be human life on Earth, or?
This was long before human life. Human life was not existing at this stage, but it is the preparation for higher beings to exist. There needs to be an ecosystem for life. So we have to do the preparation and make sure that these beings are responding correctly, because these little pools were going to dry up and it was going to become, this was very wet world, and it was going to become more dry. And like there was going to be more land, if that makes sense, and less wet.
Okay. So this is the last time that you visited Earth before the one that you were.
This is just one of the times, and then we visit again dinosaur time, and I saw some dinosaurs, and so we are just checking, and I don't see we needed to do very much at this stage. Everything was going well. Well, in our terms, it was going well. And we are just looking around. When the trees are very, very big trees, and big animals.
Is our
And
illustrations of the dinosaurs correct?
it's like some of them look fatter than the picture and more colorful. And there is more variety in the shapes and forms. Like some of them look like very colorful parrots, especially these ones with the big, how would I say this, the big crown on their heads. The ones with the crown on their heads, the big thing that sticks up. These ones are colorful,
Okay.
and some of them have a feathery tail.
Mm.
Mm. And so we didn't need to do very much. There was some beings I'm seeing at this point that were like higher dimensional humanoids, but these ones and the dinosaurs did not so much interact. It's like they were aware of each other, but on different vibrational levels.
Okay, so they couldn't see each other, or?
Like they could, but you know how sometimes your dog sees spirits in the corner of the room?
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm seeing a dinosaur is looking at something, and then there is a light humanoid being, a being of light, and
Mm.
just walking through the forest.
Mhm.
And this group of dinosaurs is just watching this being walking through the forest. And they just have this curiosity about the being, but they don't do anything, you know?
Okay, yeah,
Mm.
that's fair enough.
So, and then we didn't need to stay for very long because everything was going very well.
Mhm.
So we are going back. And then the next time we coming, it was when humans started to be more on Earth.
Mhm.
Mm. And these humans are, there is different, I guess, different camps of different human experiments. So there is, it's like there is a few different extraterrestrial projects going on at the same time in the very beginning.
Mhm.
One of these I'm seeing was in Antarctica, and another one I'm seeing was in America very, very long time ago.
Mhm.
Well, what was America, but it looks like the continents do not look the same, of course. It looks a bit different, the shapes, and they are more closer together. And Atlantis is not really, it's not really a thing at this point.
Mhm.
It's not a thing until later on. I don't think people are aware of the length of time that I'm talking about. It's very, very long, and we visited at various points. So I'm not quite sure how to describe the times, but and there was a time where we came to Earth and it was very, very beautiful,
Mhm.
and everything was very nice, and it was like almost like a holiday for the Elohims to come here at this time
Mhm.
because it was so beautiful. But we were checking around, and we are going to, I'm seeing we are flying down to some of these ET camps. I'm just going to call them camps, like human programs for putting humans and DNA experiments. And we are flying down, and we are talking to some of the beings that are in charge of these things. And
Mhm.
one of them is looking like is looking skinny and big head, like what you would know to be a traditional alien type of thing.
Mhm.
has very big eyes and skinny body. And we are talking to him, and he is just explaining what he is doing and what his goals are, and we're just checking to see if everything is going okay, you know. We're just checking to see if, you know, these beings, everything is going all right. They're doing the right thing, you know. Nobody's doing anything that, well, at this stage, they are not doing anything that is wrong, you know. They are not inserting things into the DNA that would make humans go down in a step. They are doing things for curiosity and for I guess helping the universe and what they wanted to come here to do. There are many beings that choose to do this genetic sort of way because it's exciting in a sense to watch beings grow and learn. And this was a very good place for them to do so. So
Mm-hmm.
they have some ships in the sky, and they have some beings, and there are some humans that look very beautiful and that they created, and some other ones that they made are more like a caveman type of thing. So there are different sort of types, and we are just peeking at their work.
What was the point of that, of making them two different? Is it so they can see the evolution on them, or?
Yes, they they like, I'm seeing they set them loose at some points, the caveman types, more primitive types, and to see how they would go. And then they place these more advanced one among them, and the advanced one is breeding with the other ones, and they are just doing it in this way to, I guess, make the advanced genes more natural. And so they are doing this with a few things actually, and there was quite a few experiments
Mm-hmm.
of this type, many, many, many. And we are just talking to the beings in charge. And some of them are wearing spacesuits, and some of them are wearing robes. And there's all sorts of beings and all sorts of different experiments. And so we're just checking to see how they're going, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we are, what would I call it? Like a teacher role. And you know how the teacher is going around and checking the students' work in the class to see how they're going?
Yeah.
Yeah, this type of thing. Just checking, see, oh, okay, do you need some help, or you good? Okay, good, let's go then. So, yeah,
So,
this type of thing.
yeah, is that how the Elohim were involved in the creation process on Earth, or?
Yes, yes, in the creation of the humans, yes, the Elohim beings were the overseers of the overseers in that, if that makes sense, like overseers of galactic and various angels that came with us and whatnot, and we're just overseeing this process
Mm-hmm.
because yes, it's like these angelic beings, they are teachers, and then well, it's quite complicated because of the level of evolution we are talking about. So the angelic beings are teachers, And it's like these creator ETs that are creating human races.
Mhm.
They are students and they are like doing their works, like their homeworks.
Mhm.
And then we are just checking like in teacher role. So it was like I'm just getting image of classroom, and there is angelic beings who are teachers in the classroom, and then these ET races are the students sitting at the desks, and then the teacher comes over, and the work is the human races, and then they're checking the work and saying, okay, good job, or oh, this one might need a little bit of this, or for example, or and they can take the suggestion or they can leave it. It's up to them.
Mhm. And what ET races were involved in this process?
So I'm seeing there was like Syrian beings, and
Mhm.
then there was like there was once that I can just describe by the appearance, like a long, skinny ones with big eyes, very big eyes, and skinny neck, and they have long fingers, only 3,
Mhm.
and like a gray-white sort of color, and their mouth is very,
Mhm.
very tiny, like a slit. Mm. And I'm just seeing there was ones with some ridges on the head. Oh, and then there was ones with more round heads, like a big head at the back, and then there was actually ones that looked like humans as well, like Pleiadian types.
Mhm.
So there was a different types of ones. And then I'm seeing there was ones that don't have any sort of form at all. They are like just a light being or something, and they were participating in this too. There was many sort of things, and I'm seeing there were ones that look like, it's quite funny, like a fish type of thing, a fish a fish-headed being, which is strange to me. There
Mhm.
was all sorts of ones, or ones that look like have big fish eyes type of thing, and like I'm just seeing like a being with big type of fish eyes and fish scale type of on the body.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Is that what the human race is composed of? Of all these ET beings playing human, would you say?
Yes, there was lots of ones that they made, lots of different ones. Some humans look very, very skinny, and it's like some ideas were not made into production.
Mhm.
It's like some beings were the hairy, sort of grunty caveman things, and some of the humans are very beautiful, and some of them are very skinny, and there were all sorts of different ones. And then there's ones that are very short. They made all sorts of different ones. And there's even ones that had like tail type of things.
Mhm.
I don't, and there was ones that, well, a lot of them didn't do very well. So they kept making, it's like they just stuck with the ones that did well. So
Mhm.
this is where you get all of these variations, but I'm seeing that there were the higher beings and the Pleiadians and humanoids from different places that interbred as well. And there was also, I'm seeing some reptilian beings, but they are not the bad kind.
Mhm.
They are the different kind, and they wanted to play around as well. So they inserted some of their DNAs into the humans, and this did very well.
Mhm.
So it's like there was different sort of efforts from different groups at different times.
Okay. How were the Elohim involved in the creation process of the solar system?
Okay, so let's go back a long time.
Mhm.
So I'm seeing the sun, and the sun has a being in it. And the being in the sun, his name is Helios. And how he have his wife with him, and she is Selene. And they are like the masters of this solar system, if that makes sense, these two beings.
Mhm.
So they are like existing in the sun, the soul of the sun, and their beingness helps to power this entire solar system, these two beings. And I'm seeing, yes, Helios, he look like, he looks a little bit like Apollo, but he has more short hair. And these beings are what you would call like a star type of being, but the star beings that are masters of particular solar system, they are like kind of like a type of, they are angelic in a sense, like
Mhm.
they are on that level. They are on that level of angel. So two angels, Helios and Selene, and they make a proposal to us, the Elohims, and it's just the sun at this point, but they want some planets around it.
Mhm.
They want to make a solar system. They want to make the different planets. And so Helios, he is very bright, and he's giving some plans to us, and Celine is, and we are just talking about these plans, and he is like he's beaming these plans to us, and yes, we are, it's like a commission. It's a commission project. So he wants his idea, and he wants us as the architects to help make it happen. And we are very, very skilled at what we do because we are creative beings, the Elohims. So he is making this proposal to us. For example, like, I want to make my solar system. I want this here. I want this there. And we have to listen to his plans, of course,
Mhm.
because if you make a commission and you don't do what he wants you to do, then that's a big problem,
Mhm.
because it's like he requested this. So we have integrity in that sense in our creation, that we want to create what we want to create. We will create what he wants to create.
Mhm.
So he was the one who made the plans for the various planets. So I'm seeing this is for a long time. We are working on this project. We are working on several solar systems at the time, actually, because we can be in multiple places. So we are working for quite a few different star beings. We are working for him and we are working for others, and we are like in more places than at the one time. It's kind of confusing, but this is what happened in this instance. He told us, okay, I have the plans. And then we joined together in our beingness. We joined together. And each one of us on the council of Elohim, so it is 14, and they become like one with each other, these twin flames, and then they can start the creation process in their oneness of beingness with each other.
Mhm.
And so then they can start doing the works, the various works. So Hercules, he is part of this, and he's doing the first step, and then me and Apollo is doing second step, and Hercules does with his wife too, and then we are doing second step, and then Eros and his wife is doing third step, and then Yahweh and his wife is doing fourth step. But we are all in communication with each other. I'm just seeing there is a lot of power that goes through our beingnesses, and we are pushing out the energy and we are forming things. And I'm seeing it's like Apollo and I, our step was like we sketched the blueprint type of thing. It's like our light was a projection.
Mhm.
Like we drew the lines. I'm just seeing that we are creating like the planets through projecting our light. And this is our step, just like for example, if you have a drawing and then you do little circles,
Mhm.
and and you lay the foundations before you build it up with the different colors and other things. We were laying the foundations. And so it was like we did the pencil sketch of this,
Mhm.
and the brothers and sisters, the other parts of the council, they came in with the colors. They came in with their different skills and making it whole and making it so that we are sticking to the plan and we are working together, and it's like we are shaping reality. We are like shaping things like Play-Doh. In a sense, we are like artists creating things out of blocks of God energy. So this God energy is already there.
Mhm.
We are just molding it and shaping it and adding color, and yes, it is like art and sculpture on the highest sort of sense. This is like it is like the medium is God,
Mhm.
and we are painting with this, we are painting with this, and we each have different steps, and then the paper is God, and the paint is God, and the pencil is God, but it's just how the being that we are uses it, and that is how things are formed in this universe. It is through higher beings acting as artists, making things out of God,
Mm-hmm.
like the Elohim. And I very much like art because it represents this process on a very tiny scale. So when you do art, you are in a sense mimicking what is going on at the highest levels of creation.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So we created time seeing, we made this after some time, long time, and Helios, he is overjoyed. It's like he has so much excitement in his heart. Like, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love you. And so it was created, but like all the planets were very hotty and kind of like cooling off. So it would take some time to cool off, and then other beings would be attracted to this, and they would come and they would start to set up, like different extraterrestrial races would come and begin to do things, and Helios was very, very appreciative of this, and waiting for different ETs to arrive and start colonizing. And he was very excited, like, oh, I can't wait. It's like waiting for a parcel coming in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting excited, like, oh, are they going to? I can't wait for ETs to arrive and help with my system. He's very excited about his project. And his wife too. It was like a group project. This all was group project, and everyone is very excited and thank you, and he's shaking our hands, and like I just get image of him like thank you guys for making this, helping me, because he had like the blueprints. He just wanted some help with it,
Mm-hmm.
like a commission.
Yeah.
Mm.
What was the time at the Paradise Garden of Eden, time on Earth? Is that what you
Yeah.
were looking at before? That you said it was very beautiful?
Yes. Yes, this is a very beautiful time. It was very warm, and the Elohim, they came down to check at this time, and I'm seeing they decided that the energy is very nice here. Let's have a little bit of a holiday
Mm-hmm.
type of thing, like a fun situation where we just took a break and had some fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so because it was very, very nice, we were like, oh, we like this place. Wow, it's so nice at this time. And there was many, many flowers on the earth at this time, and filled with such beautiful smells, and the fruit was so big, and it was like the climate wasn't the same as today. It was more like a greenhouse sort of effect, so very tropical and humid everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the equator, the what is, the, how would I say, the subtropical, the tropical of the equator, but it was everywhere on
Mm.
the earth at this time, or almost everywhere, except for certain places which were a little bit cooler. But um, the structure of the clouds, it was like a vapor canopy where it was there was moisture being trapped in the earth at this time, like a greenhouse effect. So it actually made the plants grow very, very green and big and very, very fruitful. And there was people here at this time that were like the descendants of the experiment,
Mm-hmm.
and they were very advanced people actually. There was some caveman type of beings, but a lot of them were very advanced actually. They had advanced to a certain point that was very, very spiritual. I'm just going to say, and these people, nobody is wearing many clothes at all. If they do wear clothes, it is more like a loincloth, but I'm seeing a lot of the time it's too hot to wear clothes, like proper clothes. So they are just walking around, and the Elohims, they decide to come down for, I guess, their holiday. And they decided to manifest some bodies to experience some things.
Yeah.
Because when you are like a light being, sometimes there is curiosity to wear a different suit and to do things and experience and touch things. And I see we are getting a big fruit, a giant fruit, and we are cracking it open, and these type of experiences was very exciting for us. So this is something that would be a holiday for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are cracking open a fruit and we are sharing some fruits, and it's so tasty. This is exciting. We are eating things with our mouths.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like, it is like a holiday for us, and it was very, very fun. And Apollo, I'm seeing he's swimming in the ocean with dolphins, and the water is very warm, and he's very, very, he loves this so much. And there are beautiful flowers on the earth as well, and I have flower in my hair.
Mm-hmm. So what's the difference between creating a body in this lifetime so you can experience what a 3D world would be to the time that you are in now? So one you created and the other one you were born into?
Well, in this lifetime, it was much more difficult sort of process, but we couldn't do it the other way because that would be intervening too much. At that point, it was not intervening. It was like the humans were a very high level, so it was not intervening. They understood us,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to hang around us, and they weren't scared of us. And I'm seeing we have bonfire dancings together, and we are dancing around the fire, and we are having fun with each other, like the humanoid type of things at this point. So it was like because humanity went backwards that I had to incarnate in this way. Otherwise, it would be very easy for us to come down and manifest a body like before, but
Mm-hmm.
it would be too obvious. we would stick out like a sore thumb, and for example, we would make people throw up all of the time and
Like it's
have,
what is too much, or
yeah, like from our energy fields, we would make people throw up all of the time, and I had to be adjusted. So my beingness had to be adjusted so that this wouldn't happen, and have like a more human type of body than an Elohim manifested body, if this makes sense.
Mhm.
But there's still Elohim in the blood, otherwise it wouldn't work at all. And it's like I'm seeing that when my soul, a tiny bit of soul, would come into a body that was mostly like didn't have much or didn't have any Elohim DNA in it,
Mhm.
that body would get too much of a shock and be flushed out. It would be miscarriage, this
Oh.
type of thing. Yeah. So sometimes this happens in the process of the star seeds, like the baby's soul comes in, and then there's a bit of a shock, and the the body is flushed out, and the being is comes out again, and we have to figure out things for, again, for example, like for some starseed beings, this might be the case. So like they come into the body, it gets too shocked and it's flushed out, and they just need to work out things in a different route. For example, with some of these very, very higher dimensional beings and very strong energy beings, they need to pick certain bloodlines.
Mhm.
They need to make a careful choice of the families
Okay.
and be very careful about how much soul they put in the bodies. This is in relation to Elohim in particular. I'm not sure about some of the others, but I would say for some other very high dimensional beings, it could be very similar,
Mhm.
like incarnated angels and all of these type of things. They would have to make a careful choice of the body and the family, and just not rush into things too quickly, to take their time and make sure that the body is going along well, and whatnot. And sometimes there is spontaneous abortion, and this happens, and you just try again, I guess.
Mhm.
But yes, there is a process with this that occurs, and the soul is fed in very, very, very slowly, and like minuscule amounts. And okay, maybe then we can feed in tiny bit. Maybe when I was baby, I only had like 1 to 5%,
Mhm.
maybe 1% when I was very, very little, and then they fed in a little bit more. My team
Mhm.
that work with me, and we helped, and Apollo, and we helped to feed in some more of the soul,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. So it's not so much of a shock. So as the baby is growing, more and more is coming in.
Mhm.
And unfortunately for Elohim, when you're an adult, you still can't have the whole soul in the body. For other extraterrestrial beings, the whole soul can be filled in at the age of 25 or 30. However, for Elohim, there is no way at this point in time for an entire Elohim soul to go into a human body, even if there is a lot of Elohim DNA in the body. There is the body would disintegrate, and it's like the blueprint of the body would begin to fade away, and then there would be death of the body. So of course, I don't want this to take place. So I keep it safe for myself, and the other Elohim keep it safe for themselves.
Fair enough.
So when we incarnate, when we are on our holiday, we just manifest for ourselves, and this is so much easier way actually than the other way, and not annoying way. And we got to experience things in our body, and the Elohim were doing sex a lot on this holiday. I'm sorry to talk about, but this was something that they wanted to experience in the physical.
Yeah, because you can't do it in your unless you come to a 3D body. Is that
Yeah,
right?
no, you can't do this. And lots of angels are curious about this, and people like to shut down this type of idea that, oh no, angels and higher beings, they don't want to do that at all. They don't have sex or any of this sort of thing. But this is part of the creation process of the universe. It's like as above, so below. So
What,
if
sorry, what
if
do you
you
mean?
keep that as a general rule, pardon.
What do you mean by that? So above, so below. What does that mean?
So even the things that you would consider primitive, like little animals that mate with each other, they still have God within them, and they still have all of this power within them. And even at the higher levels, we are still making families and loving each other and having sexual relationships with each other, even at the Elohim level. So for example, you get a little family of cockroaches or mice or something, and they have families and whatnot and breed with each other to create offspring. And then at the highest levels, then you have Elohim, and they have families and they create some offspring as well.
Okay.
So this is what I mean by this. It's like everything in creation is special and important, and to think that you are above something else is a vast misjudgment. To think that you are better than something else, it's like is so silly. Like humans and some alien beings may think that they are at a certain level, so they are better than other beings. So they get rid of their emotions and they get rid of their reproductive capabilities, and then we see as observers of the universe time and time again that they come to regret these things, because this is part of creation, is part of the underpinnings, the blueprint of the universe, so to speak. As above, so below. It's as within, so without. These basic teachings are, well, this is how. So what I mean by this, at the microscopic level, there are, universes within universes, and at the macroscopic level, there is the universe, and there are creator beings on all levels of reality. It's like a spiral within a spiral within a spiral that keeps on going and keeps on going. And like reality is like a Russian doll. That is, I'm trying to explain the best way of saying this, but that is the way that I can explain it. That type of thing, reality is like a Russian doll. And so maybe at the outside of the doll you have God, and then the inside you have one of the first layers is the Elohim and angelic beings, and then the Russian doll goes along, and then there's like some tiny little doll, and it just keeps going. It keeps going, and there are so many ways that you can And I can't describe all of creation, I guess, but like I can provide some analogies and teachings to show you.
Thank you for that. How do we bring these paradise codes back into the new earth?
So you can take the energy from this time, the very beautiful energy that was at the earth at this time that we came to earth, and we decided it was so beautiful. It's like that energy still exists. And if you remember back from this time, if you remember back, those memories will be carried forward into the new world. So when I talk about this time, you can have some meditation or reminiscence of this time period that I talked about, and various people who have incarnated on the earth today, they can remember these beautiful times on the earth, and they can bring this back. I'm going to give an activation for people to remember these times, the times when the earth was very, very beautiful. And there was like flowers everywhere, and it was so green. And it was like the earth spirit itself was rejoicing. It was so beautiful. And you could hear the angels' songs because we loved to be there. It was like a vacation. It was beautiful. And so I'm seeing that there's some of this energy in these beautiful places, like the island places, like Hawaii type of thing, in Vanuatu and Fiji. It has this type of energy. And certainly in the lower parts of New Zealand and Tasmania in Australia, there is remnants of this energy. For example, this crystal on my hand, this stone, I got this for me because this crystal is called Atlantisite, and it carries the blueprint from this time. It carries the energies from this time, and this crystal is found in Tasmania, Australia.
Okay.
And if you get it, then you can remember these type of things. So this crystal can help you, the Atlantisite. So this is why I wear this all of the time. So I remember the paradise of this earth, and it makes me feel so calm, so grounded and happy. So I don't like it to leave my body. I put this on all of the time. So you can do various things to bring back this energy. This is one of the ways that I bring back this energy, this beautiful time that was at Earth. So even remembering this time, going back into the past lives and doing meditations and just seeing and experiencing. And then when you are doing walks, nature walks on the earth, it would be a good idea to visualize this beauty and this color, and just to appreciate the earth and love the beauty, of this place. That is how you are making it come back. There is various ways that you can do it, but I recommend the Atlantisite for a crystal that would be very helpful with new earth feelings and activating the new earth for people to manifest and create, because we are all creators of our reality, not just the Elohims are creating, but everyone is creating. So I invite everyone to be a creator, and maybe if you need a little bit of a push, you can buy this crystal or visit Tasmania or Island Place, and this would invigorate some memories in you.
Is that why so many people like going to these places?
Yes, they are beautiful places because they carry this energy within them. They carry this beautiful paradise, green paradise energy of the original Earth. And of course, Antarctica has a lot of this energy too from this time, but was frozen, of course. But you can visit Tasmania or the South Island of New Zealand and whatnot, and get some experiences from that energy there.
The energy has been very different around this time at the Easter period. What is changing and occurring?
So I was sending out some activations for the new Earth, and of course, a lot of other beings, star seeds, are sending out their new activations as well. And if you walk around on some days, you can see that the sunlight is different, or the grass is more green, or the sky is more blue, and the animals are very peaceful or happy. For example, if you are observing and sunlight appears to change, or the birds are flitting through the sky so happily, this is signs of fifth dimensional energy making its way into the earth, long awaited, returning, coming back, returning. So I just wanted to do an activation before for people, anyone listening, to be able to bring this paradise and new earth codes in. So I will just do an activation for anyone who is listening.
Thank you.
And just if you can imagine the flowers and the birds singing and all of the animals being happy, and the grass being so green and the trees being so green and the sky being so blue, then this would help a lot. Like if you can imagine these things, and go out on the days when this is happening and the weather is very beautiful, and you will see a richness in color. And the richness in color and the variation of the light in the clouds is fifth dimensional energy. And the rainbows within the cloud rainbows, are something that is coming back to, and people will see more and more. They are seeing like just unusual things that are very beautiful about the landscape when they go out. It is very useful to live in a nature place or visit a nature place to see such things. But you will notice even sometimes the animals are more peaceful and the birds are flitting about. Like when I went on a walk the other day, the birds, they were so happy to be alive. After a long time, it's like they know that the energy is going up, and they are just joyfully spiraling in the air. So I saw so many of them, little birds flitting in the sky. So many birds, it was like a day full of birds. And my lower self was very surprised because there were birds everywhere enjoying themselves. But I knew what was happening. The bird collective was very joyous at this. So all the birds were coming out and having a party, almost like a celebration in happiness of their spirits.
Are you finished with the activation, or are you just going to continue it throughout the session?
It will continue throughout the session. It is fun. And also, if you want to purchase Atlanta sites, this would also help with the activations.
Thank you. What is the flower of light that Lumina speaks of?
Okay, this is my shape, my beingness, like the snowflake inside that is me, the shape of me. I am seeing it is like a mandala type of thing, and it shifts one way and then the other shifts another way, and it's very unfurling. It's like a phoenix type of flower that looks like light and spurting out and coming out like this. So from starting from a little point and then bursting outwards like an explosion that comes out from the tiny, tiny little point, and it comes out this form. So from small to big, and that is like my beingness. It is like small things having very, very big power. So this small light of God within you, in me, I got enlightened from knowing that maybe even though I was small, I was actually big, if that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain. Like from a small point, it bursts outwards and covers all of creation in a beautiful, ecstatic motion. And it flows from the center point, the waves washing over all of reality. It is like an explosion of light that comes from a point, and it shifts and shakes, and it's all about freedom and love, and this feeling of absolute bliss and ecstasy to explode outwards, this excitement, this realization that I am me and I am God. I am love and I am powerful in my beingness. And when the I am was said, there is an explosion outwards from the point, this uplifting energy that comes out and up and reaches to the sky like a big volcano going off. And it's fun to just explode in absolute ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like that is my form. I'm sorry, it's like an abstract concept, but everybody has a form, a beingness, that a way of moving, a way of doing things. It could be like a swirling, could be like an outwards flower exploding like me. It could be like an inwards movement. It's like your own song and your own dance, and you find the words, you find the movements, you find the beingness of who you are by knowing who you are, and you
Mm-hmm.
unlock the secret of yourself. And when you know yourself, when you truly know yourself, you do hack reality. It's like, when you know yourself, you know God. You do. And you know the universe, and you know all of creation, and you know the multiverse, and you just know when you go into that spark of light that comes from within, that inner sun.
Why is it so hard for us to get to that, to know ourselves? Is it because of the distractions we have around, or?
Yeah, it's like being programmed to face outward instead of inward.
Mm-hmm.
Part of my skill was I was very inward facing and knowing myself a lot, but very, very sure in myself. And I don't like to be told what to do, which was sometimes it's difficult when Apollo tells me something and it's for my best good, but I don't listen to it, for example. But this trait has served me so well for ascending to be who I am,
Mm-hmm.
to not, well, I guess not, to not, I'm not going to say that I don't listen to others. It's just that I say that my own voice is very important, my own inner voice, and I should listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, I think this is very important lesson for humanity to learn, to know the self, to look within.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much I'm seeing, like programming and types of patterns that are placed on people so that they go outwards instead of inwards. But you can remove these sort of patterns to go outwards. You can remove them. It is possible. You can remove them, and you don't need to listen to anyone else. Actually, like especially now at these times, I wouldn't recommend just listening to whatever kind of spiritual guru has to say and then ignoring yourself, because that's really doing yourself a big disservice. And some of these spiritual gurus are frankly full of shit
Mm-hmm.
and doing this for all the wrong reasons. So it is good to go within always. Don't be listening to a guru. Gurus are full of shit. don't even listen to me. Okay, listen to yourself. Find that voice within. I must stress this. Like, don't even take what I say as gospel. Just
Mhm.
listen to yourself. That is so, so important. I want everyone to know the importance of listening to yourself. So if you think I'm full of shit, don't listen to me. Just listen to yourself.
Mhm. So
But
is what's so important about these sort of sessions when you can channel for yourself, like the BQH and the QHHD, so you can.
it's a wonderful way. It's a wonderful method that has been introduced for people to go within to themselves and
Mhm.
to listen to themselves. But even in these sessions, some people have blocks around returning to themselves. So if you do one at a time until they remove all of those blocks, then they can begin to look within a lot more,
Mhm.
and they can begin to do things for themselves, like go into the Akashic records for themselves and go into meditation and find out more of who they are. This type of thing, they can help themselves by looking at their own records and doing various things, and then connecting with who they are deep within themselves. These are tools that can help them.
Mhm. Absolutely. What is the blue lotus and the blue lotus being known as the Nefertim? Nefertim?
Nefertem. Okay, so this was a being that was on Egypt at that time, and also the blue lotus is like is a sacred to me. The lotus, so the various lotuses, whether it be white, the white one is particularly important to me, but also the blue, and you can use these two to go within. And I have actually taken some blue lotus before I begin this, some blue lotus essence. And this helps to go within. This helps to bring enlightenment to you by going within. And you can take it in a space that is quiet, and it will help you in your journeys to find who you are and find yourself and knowingness. It can show you many things, and you can use plants in this way, but also the smell. The smell is beautiful, and this can bring about effects as well that are very, it brings you into a higher state of being, this plant.
Mhm.
So this is a plant medicine that people can use to bring themselves into a higher state of beingness. So I'm talking about, you can use essence, you can use a tincture, essential oil, or even make the flowers into a tea, and then
Mhm.
you have this tea in a quiet place. And I'm just seeing that is very, very helpful. So this is what they used to use in Egypt to bring about these higher realizations and higher beingnesses. As you can see, the lotus shape is related to me, so it is very sacred to me. I am seeing that I actually seeded this plant to begin with in the universe. This is new knowledge for my lower self,
Mhm.
but I seeded the blueprint for this plant to come about. and the Nephilim, he seeded the consciousness of the blue lotus. So he is like the consciousness of this flower in a sense, but he seeded the consciousness. It's like I am the consciousness of the lotus in a sense, but I also seeded the lotus in this universe, and he seeded in particular the blue one. So he was a higher Elohim being, this one, and he was working with me and Apollo in creating different flower forms. And this one was very special to him. He created the blue lotus component. So I helped to create white one, he create blue one, and we seeded these type of flowers. It's like the Elohim seed the blueprint of the flowers. And I have to laugh because he was one of Apollo's boyfriends as well. Apollo did love to him very, very much so, but it is like this being is, I guess, it loves like this lotus shape, so it's similar to me in a sense, but different.
Mm-hmm.
And so he likes this one as well. He likes this being known as Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
He was very attracted to him. And this is a very beautiful being. Nephilim, he is very, very beautiful Elohim, male Elohim. So
What would you say to people that get caught up with the same sex, of loving the same sex?
well, I have to say, like it's a bit silly. I think I'm just seeing that this was another one of those moments that was added to the books through beings that are not of the highest good, and they were whispering some things to people like to do with, division and dividing, for example, like two beings that can love each other. It doesn't necessarily matter what gender they are, in a sense, because we are all God.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter. This was to promote division so that these type of lower beings can feed off of the unpleasantness of human conflict. So it's completely normal for the Elohim beings to be bisexual most of the time. I myself am bisexual and have had sexual relations with women, not in this life, but as me and my beingness, of course, I have done this. And Apollo, of course, he has done some homo things with with some guys, but he just loves them. Like what can I say? I don't know. Like it's just like it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter to us, but there is a lot of magic in coming together as masculine and feminine, but we are both masculine and feminine within each other. So in all of the sense, it doesn't really matter so much who is having sex with who
Mm-hmm.
or having relationship with who, just as long as you are not abusing, say, a child or something,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. Why is it so? Has it always happened? This sort of loving each other, like same sex relationships, or has it become more common knowledge now in this lifetime?
Well, like humans have to come to this realization in order to become a galactic race. They are taking baby steps that, well, before they might kill some people who are, you know, more in touch with who they are, to be able to make decisions about, actually, I want to be with another woman or something. And it's like they are making baby steps to, because before they would just kill these beings
Mm-hmm.
for stupid reasons. But in order to become a galactic race, of course, if you see the Elohim beings and they are two boys that like each other, and you are getting very, I don't know, angry, like that is, of course, we can't visit. Of course, the Elohim beings and extraterrestrials can't visit again if humans are looking at them with red eyes, wanting to kill them
Mm-hmm.
for doing things that they do not accept, for example, or doing things that, well, it is normal for the rest of the universe, but for some reason humans, they don't like, getting very angry and getting red eyes towards these beings.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you will find Pleiadian beings, and sometimes, yes, they are doing gay sex with each other, and these are humanoid beings. And maybe if some people found this out, they would be like, oh, oh no, their worldview collapse. Or Elohim beings. If they knew these informations that Elohim beings were doing same sex relationships sometimes, they are worshipping the Elohims before, and which was, we didn't advise them to do this at all. We don't want them to worship Elohim, but
Mm-hmm.
they did. And so if Elohim beings coming back and they are seeing having same-sex relationship, maybe their minds are very blown and they don't like, and we don't want them to have some sort of crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to accept each other regardless of what happens, because you can see that even animals, they have this sort of tendency. So it is very normal in the universe. If you just look around, even you can see, for example, even, amongst you, the different species, it is not solidified in the gender. For example, a girl dog does not know it's a girl. Sometimes it behaves like a boy dog and cocks its leg,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the people laugh and say, oh, well, they are not peeing like a girl dog. Well, they don't know that. They
Mm-hmm.
have no concept of that.
Mm-hmm.
They are just being themselves, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about why you have come back to Earth at this time.
Was to assist in this process of this making the new earth and ascension, and helping people with these baby steps that we are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe to put some energies there so that they can be more tolerant, so that they can become a galactic race. And also I wanted to uplift the entire Earth because she was very needing support, and she needs Elohim beings to help create the process, to help the creation process. And I'm seeing the lotus flower beneath the pyramids of the earth. And I helped with this in the first instance, so I must help with it again. That it is why I've come here to activate the lotuses underneath these structures and the mountains of the earth. For example, Mount Fuji, the lotus has been activated in this place, and it's very, very good. I lived in Japan for a little while and it was very uncomfortable for me, but they have a lot of dysfunction, especially in the astral realm. There's lot of what you would call demonic entities that are running around. But I started this process to clean it out completely and plant the lotus flower of enlightenment under Mount Fuji to activate this place. Because if you look at some of these places, they are very restricted and they are backwards in their ways. I know people will not agree with this, but Japan is a country that is backwards in its ways. It may look very technologically advanced, but if you look beneath the surface, there is a lot of restriction, and it's like they have been so tightly shut down that they have forgotten who they are on a massive scale. So I was just helping with this. It's one of these places that needs extra attention because of the dysfunction. And I will have to go to the pyramids at one point and activate some of these energies. It would be very helpful for me to go there personally and activate these places with the lotus in there. It's just much more powerful in a body, as you can imagine. It is bringing the higher levels down into the physical levels. It is bringing it into all levels of reality when you actually go to the place. So I'm hoping that I can do this in my lifetime, go to the pyramids in different parts of the earth, especially the ones I'm seeing, the ones in Egypt and the ones in South America. I must go to there.
Okay. Tell me about the time you received the call to come back to Earth and the process of incarnating into a body.
I did talk about before somehow my soul was fed into the body, but it was like, okay, so some time ago, the earth made a big yell for help, a big call for help. And this was heard around everywhere. And it was like a big shriek, a big cry, a cry for help. And a lot of angelic beings and starseeds, they may remember this time or what they were doing at this time when they heard the scream. And as for me, I was on this beautiful planet and I was among some flowers and just I'm just sitting down in these flowers and just enjoying myself at the time, and then I heard the scream, and I got up, and of course, and I went back to the other Elohim, and we gathered immediately, and we gathered, and we started to make plans immediately, and we sent a team out immediately to the earth to provide immediate first aid help. So these angelic beings, we sent like an emergency squad, and the squad went down to the earth and helped to stabilize it. And I'm seeing like it put the earth in like a quarantine, like a cloud. I'm seeing, yes, this emergency squad came around, and it began to seal things off like a crime zone type of thing, and provide first aid to the earth. And then, more squads were sent, and it was like they began to work on the area. So when the scream came out, of course, it was all the stations go,
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so this was, I'm just seeing that there was a couple of screams. And there was one around the 1800s, and then there was one when they blew the atomic bomb, and there was multiple screams, and each time we sent some teams, and then they began to, well, I guess, cordon off the area, and then we had a lot of meetings, and once this first bomb went off, and this was no good for everyone. So first we gathered together, and then a lot of the higher ETs, they had their councils and representatives, and they started to do meetings, and we were at these meetings, and I'm just seeing we're like overseeing these meetings, and we're having our own meetings, and there's lots and lots of meetings about what to do in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots of meetings. And the Arcturians I'm seeing, they were very, very concerned, and they came to us and were wondering what we were going to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
And we made the suggestion as well that we would like to see the area quarantined for the moment. The Earth had been quarantined for some time, but we wanted extra precautions. Okay, so to just, I guess, make sure that no foreign influences can come in, and various, I guess, what you would call very dark energies would be attracted by this type of scream and make their way to the earth as well, to do what they wanted to do, which was not what we had intended. So we were just making sure that this didn't happen, so that there was extra security in place. And the Arcturians, they spun into action, and they took a leading role with the Milky Way and the Earth at this time, and this solar system. They took a big leading role in taking care of this place. So we let them do their role, and we were just watching in the background and making sure that if they needed any help, that we would be there, because they are the master race of the Milky Way, and a lot of these areas are under their watch. Let's just say they are one of the watcher races. There are many watcher races, and the archangels are watchers as well. And the Elohims are the watchers above the watchers, in a sense.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yes, so like the watchers of the watchers of the watchers. Because I know that sounding so funny, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Like
that's-
we are all watching each other to just make sure things are going really good,
Mhm.
and see how that would be funny. But this is, in a sense, they stepped into action, and the Arcturians were very concerned, and so they started to, help with denuclearization of the Earth program. And, then they were watching other extraterrestrial races that were helping with this denuclearization and different things as well, just to make sure that the Earth people don't destroy themselves entirely and whatnot, and it doesn't all go to shit. Like so much hard work has been poured into this, and so much love, and you don't want to see all of that go away.
Mhm.
So in a sense, it's like everyone sprung into action. But when we came back and had a look, and the Arcturians, well, let's just say a lot of the higher beings and extraterrestrials took a look under the hood, in colloquial terms, to see what was going on. And they just discovered that it was much worse than they initially anticipated.
Mhm.
Like there was some, like I talk about the pendulum swinging and the balance of the energy in this universe. And it is allowed to swing from darkness to light and whatnot. And this is normal, but let's just say there was some abnormalities with this pendulum, and it was worse. It was more dysfunctional than was expected. And without going into details, because this is on the multiversal level and I can't go into much about that. So how the pendulum is swinging and the balance of energies within this universe, and there needed to be a cap put on it to make sure that it didn't blow out. So, when they took a look, and like, let's just pretend the Earth is a rock, and you pull the rock up and all of these grubs are crawling underneath, and oh my goodness, that's what's been hiding under there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was that type of situation. It was worse than they thought.
Mhm.
Mm. So the Arcturians were very surprised and like, oh, making discovery after discovery, that they were shaking their heads. I do not like what we are seeing here. They were making some very rude shocks, some very rude surprises awaiting, like what people had decided to do with Earth, and what a lot of very dark beings were using it as a party place, And this was creating energetic dysfunction, which was affecting the pendulum swing.
Mhm.
Mm.
What conflicts have you been involved in at this time?
Well, we needed to get rid of Seth. That was an important one
Mhm.
because he had been resurrected and came back to this earth, which was really fun for us, I guess. So he began to go a much darker way. He got some ideas from other beings, and he was more like he was not like working with the earth like he did back then in a physical sense. Like
Mhm.
he was on the earth at that time when we came, and he had manifested for himself a body, and people were able to see his body. But it's like with the amount of density that the earth had gone into, they couldn't even see him, and he was like very, very down there, let's just say, in density. Well, not density, but like, you know what I'm talking about. It's just the levels of reality. So he was existing mostly on the astral level. On the fourth dimension, he was existing, and he was able to be seen in our times, and he had like a fourth dimensional physical body, but you couldn't see him if you were on the earth, say in the 1960s or whatever, unless you had some sort of sixth sense.
Mhm.
So he was.
Sorry, just to clarify, the third is like our physical body now. The fourth is you're not seen. Is that how we understand
The
it? Or?
fourth dimension is like is filled with a lot of disincarnate spirits and various like a big, almost like a big garbage tip of humanity's emotional bodies almost, and things in here. There's a lot of shit in the fourth dimension of Earth that we had to clean up. There's a lot of garbage that we had to dispose of from this dimension. But the third dimension is at the very, very basic. It is the physical, but it was not meant to be this dense in a sense.
Mhm.
It was meant to be like you can have a higher dimensional physical body. Like this is what the humans started out with. Let's just say when there was experimentation, like I talked about in the beginning, this was what this started out with, higher dimensional physical bodies.
Mhm.
But it was like it dropped significantly, and yeah, it was like I'm just seeing that to a lot of beings, humanity just looks like rocks because we are just so dense.
Mhm.
Like, yes, like it's too much too dense for many, many beings. Much, much, much too dense of a reality. So even for the starseeds to come in the first place, things had to be heated up and start to move up for them even to come in the
Mhm.
first place. So in order for higher dimensional beings to start incarnating again, because there was no way that they could do so before. No way.
Mhm.
So it is getting better, but the fourth dimension, we had to clean a lot of this out. And a lot of these, what you would call demonic, which is just the outlier of dark energy. We just refer to it as that way because, you know, it is, I'm talking about the outlier here.
Mhm.
So a lot of these beings were just, operating in the fourth dimension, basically. So we had conflicts on that level, let's just say. The conflicts were in removing those forces from the fourth dimensional level. So no, people couldn't see them, but they did feel their effects. For example, a lot of Satanists and whatnot, not the stupid ones who just say that it's a form of atheism. I mean the higher ones that know what is going on. The ones that are, well, the higher level that is behind the scenes, not the crap that they feed to the public, let's just say. They figured out that he wasn't there anymore, so they went to talk to him, and I'm just seeing that they realized he wasn't there, and then they panicked, of course. So of course we had to get rid of him. We had to get rid of him on the fourth dimension.
How did you do that?
And other beings too. Yes. Pardon?
How did you do that?
Okay, so I'm just seeing there was a big battle with the Elohim and his forces again. And there was archangels and Yahweh, and there is a lot of motion I'm seeing, and the angels are it's like Elohim and angels, they are very, very fast. And there are all of these legions of dark beings going around them, but they have very swift movements, and light that comes off them. And it is kind of beautiful to watch these beings. It's like, well, us, the Elohim and angels and higher beings. It is like we are catching some of these ones, and I'm viewing. I had my hands out and I caught some of them in a bubble, and then like twisted the bubble, and they all passed away, and their souls were caught. And it's like it's like a wizard battle, like this type of thing. And then I explode myself, and and light goes everywhere, and Apollo, he is using his arrows of light, and I'm seeing the Elohim again. They put Set in a big bubble. They suspended him in a big bubble of light. I'm seeing that they put these spears through the bubble, these big spears of light. And they spear him through the middle. And there's multiple spears going through him. And it's like he is suspended by these chains of light and spears in this big bubble and strung up. And when we got him, he was like this. And then we put him in a cube. He was like, I'm going to say, like in an unconscious state when we speared him with multiple spears of light in this bubble. And then we compressed the bubble into a cube. And in this cube, he was arrested. And so it was like a compact form that we could carry, that we carried. We carried him in this box. it was like, I don't know, I'm just seeing the Elohim there carrying him in a box, and then he has a trial, and like the one with Lucifer, he had a trial,
Mhm.
and he was placed in this box, and he was woken up in the box, and so he could participate in the trial. I'm seeing, and there were many beings at his trial, many beings. Oh wow, so many beings, like almost a full stadium here of beings, and all of these cherubims, all of these Elohims, all of these different archangels. All this Archangel Michael here, and all of the ones you would know about, and Metatron, and there is some extraterrestrial races too, and archangels and Arcturians, and it's really a full house. And so he is like, he is bound up in the middle, and we are having the trial.
Mhm.
And then of course, there is the viewing room where beings can go in and they can have a look at the things that he did during his life,
Mhm.
and they can go into this viewing room and view in a first person sort of perspective the things that he did. But this is optional, because obviously not all beings want to experience this, and there is healing energy being beamed at this trial the entire time.
Mhm.
Because when we are talking about this, and sometimes this is a little difficult to talk about the topics,
Mhm.
because it was very yucky. So we were just, and there are some healing rooms that some beings can go into in case they feel a bit too yucky, and then they come out, but this was like there's so many packed into this trial. I'm seeing like it's like everyone was here, and me, I was here too, and I was looking, and Apollo was. We were in a, and I'm going to say, a higher position in this trial, and the being that as Yahweh or Jesus, he was presiding. I'm seeing over this one. He was like, there was the Elohim Council with me in it, and Apollo, and Yahweh, and we are discussing, the crimes, and it's like Yahweh has a lot of thing to do with this, and a lot of input in this one. And so it was decided that he would be placed in a chamber near the central sun, like Lucifer,
Mhm.
like he wasn't fed light slowly, because it appeared that there was still light within him. And Yahweh was very surprised, and we were like, well, let's take a look. How much light is within him? Oh, there's still some there. Wow, okay. That's quite surprising. It was very tiny, but it was still something. So we decided to do that with him.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Would you be able to heal the blocks around your lower self's flexibility?
Okay, the flexibility within the body or within the penis. Okay, I'll just do both because it is related to both.
Mhm.
So the flexibility in the limbs and the flexibility in the beingness. I will do that. Mm. And I will just get Arcana to help with the flexibility of the limbs. And this will occur over the next month.
And could you help with the acne problems as well?
Of course, this is like, I guess there is some detoxification sort of pathways that are blocked other than the liver. So I'm just going to clear this out so my skin won't be so difficult, and this will go through a different way. It was just like the body was compensating for myself getting rid of toxins. So I will help this, and Arcana can help with. If you can please help with my acne, that would be great. And especially the need to pick at the body. I know Apollo has told my lower self no picking, don't picking. But it's like a habit at this point. So I'm just going to break this habit. But yes, he was upset at me. Don't pick your skin, please. Drink water. He is very kindly to me. He was nagging me. Don't pick your skin, my love. It's not, you don't want to do this type of thing. Yes, it's just a habit because it's to pick the skin. It was because I was picked on by some kids, so I'm just removing the need to do that now. Because I was myself and I loved myself deep down, and because I was true to myself, sometimes it was intimidating to other beings that were on this earth, so they picked on me and bullied me and bullied my lower self. So I'm just removing this. I don't need to pick on myself. I don't need to pick on myself. These beings, they picked on me. They don't know what they are doing. They know not what they do. They did not know love within themselves. They did not know how to love themselves, so they picked on me. They chose me as the scapegoat for their unhappiness with themselves. And that's all right. I forgive them now. I forgive these beings, even though they picked on me. A lot of starseeds deal with bullying in their life. And Elohim deal with a lot of bullying when they incarnate into this place. I think everyone who is feel like a higher light being gets picked on at some point. So I'm doing activation for everyone else who was getting bullied because they were starseed or a light one who is helping the earth and they got bullied. I'm just giving you activation so that you can release that too.
Thank you.
Because this is something that a lot of people have had to deal with, unfortunately, to be bullied.
And why is that? Is that in a an unconscious level? They pick that there's people that are different to them, or vibration?
It's like they are dragging the tall poppy down. There is one who is so bright and pure, and they don't like it. It makes themselves feel inadequate. It's the shining light shines on their imperfections, and it makes them feel uncomfortable, these beings, light magnitude. So they bring it down. I don't like your energy, squash it, this type of thing. It's all about energy, but people don't realize it. It's like they want these beings to squash down their energy and compact it so that they can feel comfortable, if that makes sense. Like you are too bright, you are too shiny, your energy is too big. Squash yourself for me, please. I feel uncomfortable. This type of thing. And actually, the Elohim, when they went to Earth last time, their energy was so uncomfortable for humans. For some humans, there were some humans that were much better at this, but some humans that were more, I guess, in the downwards tendencies, they actually got sick around the Elohim. They physically threw up because of their energy fields were too magnified, for example, too strong. There is a discomfort with the starseed when it comes into the body, and it's different, and the energy moves around the environment, and the other beings look at it and feel uncomfortable and want to squash it.
Is that another reason why a lot of them are loners growing up?
Yes, because they learned that they could not be around other people without them being uncomfortable. Both, they felt uncomfortable around other people and the energy fields, and the other people felt uncomfortable around them. So there was a disconnect here with the energies, leading to, well, in some beings' life there was conflicts, and other people don't like me, I am not liked by others type of thing. And so this type of thing might have started in their life from the energetic disconnection. But they are on Earth for a reason, to bring them up. So, it's like medicine, These beings have come to Earth, and, well, you might feel uncomfortable in the energy field, but it's like medicine. The more you take it, the better you get. It lifts everybody else up. So it would be useful for starseeds to hang around people, but that's why the reason that they came to Earth. But sometimes there is some rude shock with the other people, and I've had many instances where they just come out and attack me for no reason, because they feel uncomfortable. So I understand why there is, a need to want to run away. But these people attacking you, they need your medicine. They need to swallow it up. Even though they are kicking and screaming, it's a good thing that they take this medicine. That is, your beingness in this world, and you are very, very appreciated and loved. So, and this is important for humanity. And some beings, they will be so uncomfortable with all of the special, starseed beings coming, that they leave. And that's their choice. But you don't need to dim your light just so that somebody else can be comfortable. Don't do that for yourself either, just to fit in with others. That is not what you came here for. You did not come here to fit in and to just, be a wallflower and, not, well, in an energetic sense, because you can be an ordinary person and just, like a postman or something and deliver the packages and put the energy here and there. But, you did not come here to be an energetic wallflower. You came here to be energetic medicine for a society that is very, very sick.
Absolutely. Thank you for all that information that you provided.